What is the worst reason to have a baby? Why? Story 1. My family would tell me that they'd pay for everything if I had a kid. Money was my main reason I was waiting when I was younger. I eventually had a kid and they haven't given me a fucking penny. Bunch of liars. My wife and I will jokingly bring it up when we see them. They always get embarrassed and change the subject. Story 2. I used to do that with my mother-in-law. When she started getting really insistent with the grandbaby talk, I'd just start going into really inappropriate detail about our birth control habits. Like I'd look at my wife and be like, well, I'm tired of condoms and you don't like how they feel or smell, and she'd go, you, stop. And I'd say, well, you brought it up. Story 3, my dad had an incredibly fucked up and traumatizing childhood. Instead of dealing with his subsequent mental illnesses, a person at his church told him to have lots of kids. It will heal your trauma. So he had 6, and we ended up homeless at certain points and traumatized ourselves. Idiot. Story 4, honestly though, this happens, the one thing that comes to mind is a couple adopting a young kid from Indonesia, I think. They were well into the process when the adoption agency found them and saw that they had a social media presence where they gave updates to their followers on the process. The agency told them that they have a policy where within a year of adoption, the adopters are not permitted to post the child on social media or make any specific comments regarding the child. Instead of being reasonable people, they simply canceled the adoption process entirely. It truly is borderline evil, especially since they just wanted an adopted kid for clout and couldn't wait a year. Story 5. I used to watch this girl on YouTube who talked about makeup and clothes and just lifestyle stuff. The second she got pregnant, had a baby, her videos were day in the life of a toddler, mama top 5 best toddler products, spend the day with me and my toddler, shoving the camera in the baby's face in every video. Story 6. This is more common than people think. I have to wonder if anyone, anywhere, ever has actually improved a relationship by having a child. I'm sure some have managed to extend the life of a troubled relationship by adding a baby to the mix, but improving the relationship, making it a relationship worth staying in. I don't see that happening. Story 7. We didn't have a bad relationship before, but it's definitely made our relationship stronger. A lot of other factors have played into that, though. My wife was miserable at work, which was bleeding into our relationship. Then, when she got pregnant, she realized that there are so many things in life more important than work, and she generally just became happier. She also realized that drinking alcohol and coffee were both making her feel worse constantly, and she gave those up during pregnancy and stayed off for good, and I joined her. That made our relationship stronger because we realized so much of our relationship we were both just miserable, then would drink after work and complain about work, and then need coffee in the morning because we were hungover. It probably wouldn't have fixed a really bad relationship, but it certainly improved ours a bit. Story 8. So you can understand the pain I went through and understand how horrible it is. Mom and actively tries to push it. Like, when are you having kids? You're having kids right then, get visible angry when she says no, she doesn't want them. Story 9. Yeah, I heard of a couple who did that. I think it was literally their 6th kid they finally got the boy. There's no way they're going to be treating all 6 of their kids equally. The girls will be treated less than, and they will know it. It also makes me think of that gender reveal video where the dad is so excited about a boy that he shakes the ever-loving shit out of his baby daughter. Story 10. My mom's cousin did this. Wanted a boy and didn't get one till 5. Then they had 2 more for a total of 7. The way they raise those kids isn't the best either. They homeschool and keep them out of extracurriculars unless it's work they're getting paid for. They are very unexposed to people, and their oldest one is already following in her parents' footsteps. Not to mention a rocky relationship between the parents. It's sad because I remember when they were younger, there were times those kids would come to me sobbing because they wanted to go to school or join a dance class and make friends, but their parents said no. Such a weird control dynamic. Story 11. I know better, but still felt a pang of disappointment at having a boy since I love sewing and crafts and thought I lost my chance to pass those skills down. Well, my son is totally into crafts, and a friend of mine who also does crafts. Sewing has a girl the same age and her daughter has 0 interest in crafts. I did laugh at myself for that one. Story 12. A lot of people use children as a lackluster attempt at avoiding therapy, which is actually exactly when you shouldn't be having a child, surprisingly enough. You want to bring a child into the world under the idea that you'll give them the best you can so they can be happy, not the other way around. Story 13. I'm an affair baby. My mom was a side chick for 10 plus years to my dad. She met my dad through her best friend, who was my dad's spouse and sibling's mother. Mom got sick of being the side piece and got pregnant on purpose. My dad continued seeing both of them for years after. My sibling's mother and my father broke up. My mom and him dated, but ultimately broke up because my mother is fucking unhinged. Story 14 had crazy neighbors, constantly screaming, fighting. He even tried to burn the house down with her and their 2 kids in it. When he got out of jail, he assured me things were gonna be better now because they were gonna have another baby. Story 15. There are parents that have children just so they can live their childhood dreams through their kids. Women that wanted to be dancers, so they forced their daughters to take dance lessons. Men that wanted to be sports stars, so they constantly trained their children in sports. Story 16. My boss at work is in her 30s, works full-time. Homeschools her only kid, cooks dinner every night, mows the lawns, does the shopping, laundry, etc., while her husband does nothing but complain. She told me he literally sits around and watches TikTok all day. I once heard her yelling at him on the phone because he lied to his daughter, who is homeschooled, that he couldn't read and couldn't help her with schoolwork. He has no job. He does nothing. And my boss wants another baby because she thinks it'll be what motivates him to change. Story 17, sadly. Many men are concerned with that. Yes, I have 2 boys, so my name is going to carry on for at least 1 generation. But there's no guarantee beyond that. My brother has a little girl. Not sure if they're planning on having any more kids, but he doesn't really care about the name. Honestly, they should have gone with his wife's name. It's way cooler. I don't either. We had an agreement with my wife that if we had any girls, they'd get her name. My main concern was having 2 kids with different last names. The bottom line is, it's not the name that matters. Anyone who really cares about the legacy should consider that Genghis Khan's genes are in hundreds of millions of people all over the world, and very few people are named Khan. Story 18. To have extensions of yourself, someone to take care of you when you're old. The decision to have kids shouldn't be about you. You should embrace the possibility that they are not going to turn out exactly like you because they're their own, fully realized human. Also, bringing another person into this world for a whole lifetime just so that you're not lonely when you're old is fucked. Story 19. Anything other than a mutual, carefully discussed, planned and thought out decision to have a child is wrong. My wife and I had this discussion over the first 5 years of our relationship and decided it would not be a fit for our lifestyle or future life plans goals. And if we did change our minds, we felt adopting a child in need was the correct choice anyway. Once we made that decision, I got snipped so she could go off birth control as early as possible. Story 20. Yeah, the last one is weird. In my family, the legacy is just our last name. There are lots of girls in my family, and my dad is super concerned about there not being enough boys to carry on the family name for multiple more generations. I really want to say to him, it's literally just a name and you're gonna be dead. Why do you care?